Survivor, we bring you the best guests in all of true crime. Don't forget to subscribe and smash that like button. Here's your host, Emmy Award-winning broadcaster, Joel Waldman.
What's up, STS Nation? Welcome to Surviving the Survivor. It is the show that brings you the very best guests in all of true crime on trending criminal cases. There is no bigger case, I don't care what Karen Reed people say, than the Sean Diddy Combs trial going on. It is Sean Diddy Combs versus the United States government in Lower Manhattan at the federal courthouse. Today, Sean Combs' assistant, who is going by a pseudonym, simply Maya, M-I-A, returned. It is hard to believe. This is day 3 of some emotional cross-examination. Her first day on the stand, there was a lot of crying, a lot of Kleenexes being used, and that continued on today. So far today, we have heard about alleged tracking devices used by Sean Diddy Combs. Not even a surprise anymore, I don't think. Stolen phones, how he would steal these women's cell phones in an attempt to control them, and a chilling culture of silence. A judge also today, and that would be Judge Arun Subramanian, warning the defense about the tone they were using during cross-examination, which is a far cry from the way they were kind of gently handling the government star witness. Of course, that is Cassie Ventura. It is June 2nd, 2025. Hard to believe that we're in June already. Court convened today. Judge Arun Subramanian, he took the bench, and they previewed exhibits for future testimony with both sides, deciding what can be admitted in and what can be excluded. This has been the process all along. They usually take about 20 minutes to 30 minutes arguing both the government and the defense as to what will happen in the coming days. At that point, defense attorney for Sean Diddy Combs, Brian Steele, who is got steel nerves. He's one of the best criminal defense attorneys in New York City, and also happens to be a nice guy, unless he is defending against you. He confirmed that the cross of this former assistant, Mia, would go through lunch, and he kept his promise because it happened all morning long. Before the jury entered the room for week 4, day 14, an employee for the Intercontinental Hotel security office, and that is, again, the hotel where that infamous Cassie Ventura video came from that was leaked to CNN, that really kind of broke this entire case wide open. Well, this guy, Eddie Garcia, was part of their security team. He has taken the fifth, and he's going to testify later today under some sort of immunity agreement. So we'll see what happens there. I've never seen this before. We've got some comments running along the actual screen. Space Coast inventing new things, I guess. So looking good. Never seen that before. At least I haven't seen it, even though this is my own show. There you go. So right into cross of this witness, Mia, the former assistant. The defense right away, as they had been before, and again, day 3 of this, attacking her credibility in terms of using old texts that contradict what she was saying, as well as video clips, and also her work resume. Texts first up here. These texts are texted after employment. The defense presents a series of texts between 2018 and 2019, which is about 6-7 years ago, if we're doing the math, which Mia had sent to Sean Diddy Combs. One text reads, "Merry Christmas, love you so much." Another one reads, these are direct quotes, by the way, "Thinking of you, nightmare about R. Kelly trapped in the elevator, you saved me." Apparently she's in an elevator with him. These, again, keep in mind, Mia had come to work and left and come back 3 different times, and this is now after the 3rd time. So she says she was horrified by this work environment. The defense crossing her as if to say, if you were so scared and this was such a bad situation, why, and you see those text messages right there, why are you still texting him after all of this? So another text read, "Sending you all the love in the world." Her explanation for this was, and I quote now, "Puff used to be my protector. Puff used to be my protector. She said that these were sent during an emotionally vulnerable time. Happened to be after Kim Porter's death. As you'll recall, Kim Porter, the longtime girlfriend of Sean Diddy Combs, who died of pneumonia. Others say that the death could be sort of suspicious, but the official determination and cause of death was pneumonia. And she admitted on the stand that I was, quote unquote, still under his grip psychologically. Next on to her job in terms of filming duties. She worked for Revolt, which was Sean Diddy's kind of film arm of the business. Mia testified she was required to carry a pocket video camera for Sean Combs. The defense asked if she had video evidence of all this abuse or rage, to which she replied, and I quote here, absolutely not. No, I would not have been allowed to film that. She said it would have been a quote unquote huge break of trust and confidentiality. But again, you're hearing, thank you, Miranda writes the best. If Miranda's writing this, it's got to be true. She's writing the best YouTube channel ever, I think. Thank you. Well, she didn't say ever, but you get the idea. Disclosures here. Did Mia talk to anyone? The defense grilled Mia. Why didn't you report any of this at the time? Again, we've gone through this so many times in this 4-week period. They had an expert on domestic violence who testified in the Johnny Depp trial and gave testimony as to why women in particular who are either emotionally and or physically abused come back to the relationship, and it usually takes about 7 attempts to break away. Issues of coercive control were not allowed specifically, but in this particular case, that's a big factor. I think a big factor is that Sean Diddy Combs had so much control, coercive control, if you will, over these women, because not only was he physically and verbally abusing them, but he also was in charge of their livelihood, their health insurance, things of this nature. He was paying them. He was providing the health insurance. So without Diddy, they couldn't buy groceries and they could not go to the doctor. So he controlled a lot of aspects of their lives. So again, the defense, Brian Steele in particular, saying, how come there are no reports from this period of time if it was so bad? Did you contemporaneously tell anyone besides police, friends, or family? Mia responds, and I quote, no. The only time I reached out for help was very subtly to people in the office, but not disclosing things that other people had not witnessed. And goes on to say that she had never made formal reports or written disclosures during the abuse period, during this period of time, which coincidentally, a lot of it happened to overlap with the Me Too movement. And that was underscored by the defense. Hey, this was a time where women were speaking out. So there you go. She talks about culture of silence and approval. She describes Sean Combs' power and protection inside his inner circle. She said, and I quote, nobody batted an eye, quote unquote. I was always constantly seeking his approval, meaning Sean Diddy Combs. He was my authority figure, my only authority figure. And she reinforced how normalized the abuse was in Sean Combs' inner world. And that's what the psychologists were testifying to, the fact that this was normalized abuse. So it was something that they began to live with on a day-to-day basis and basically could not excise themselves from. Rachel D. Hi, it's my birthday. Look at this. Happy birthday, Rachel, to you. I was born on my parents'. This is weird. I was born on my parents' anniversary. I don't think I've ever heard of another kid being born on their parents' anniversary. My birthday is July 25th. I won't tell you the year, but my parents were married July 25th, 1961. My parents were married 63 years. Wow. And so I always say I was their gift. I was born on their anniversary. But it did take some of the shine away from my birthday because I usually had to get them an anniversary present on my birthday. But I've never heard of that till Rachel D. Wow, weird. On to shame and threats and the impact on Mia. Mia, this assistant under the pseudonym, testified today about Sean Combs' emotional, what she called manipulation. He threatened to, quote, tell Cassie everything about what happened between him and Mia. And that's important because Mia and Cassie are actually at the time, I think we're best friends and remain close friends today. So now Diddy is playing both of them. You'll remember that the defense basically accused Cassie of playing both sides. Well, now it's Diddy's doing stuff with his diddle to one woman and then another woman, and then not, telling the others, but now threatening the others. So here we are. This is true, Rachel. What gifts we are. How about that? He threatened to tell Cassie again everything about what was going on with him and Mia. Mia said that this triggered overwhelming shame in her. This guy is just such a piece of work. You kind of put it to the side over the weekend, and then we are invited into this really depraved world of Sean Diddy Combs. She says, and I quote, his threats about that he was going to tell Cassie about what happened made me internalize blame and shame. His threats about that he was going to tell Cassie about what happened made me internalize blame and shame. And another quote, he threatened to tell Cassie, quote unquote, everything, which made me feel like I had done something wrong. There you go. Just stream of consciousness. What's up, PSS? Haven't seen you in a while. Hope Real Estate Man is doing well, and go Phillies, but go Yankees more. Birthday video from 2013. The defense plays a video that Mia made for Sean Combs' 44th birthday. And this is after the government objects to this. You see these text messages. Merry Christmas. I love you so much. Happy New Year. I love to you. You see these the text messages that are playing. Sean Diddy Combs with the gray hair, the gray goatee, and the oatmeal grayish bluish professorial sweater on there. Yeah, and Johan, I am a Leo, as you are, I guess. Annette Spencer, Diddy is a monster. That might be an understatement, an insult to monsters. In the video, Mia says in this birthday video, I love you. Happy birthday. The defense using the video here to suggest a friendly relationship and to challenge the current narrative. Now, again, we talked about this. This is going to have to be up to the jurors. They're going to have to decide, was she really madly in love with Sean Diddy Combs at this point, or was she just saying to him what he needed to hear so she could keep her job, keep her health insurance, be employed? It's a very tricky, slippery, difficult slope. And it is for the attorneys as well, because here you are taking a woman who is openly talking about physical and verbal abuse, and now you have to undermine and undercut some of the things she's saying. So it's sensitive all the way around, and something that an attorney like Brian Steele is obviously very adept at, but it is towing a fine line. At this point in the testimony, Judge Arun Subramanian stepped in and he warned Brian Steele. This came after prosecutors accused him now in the courtroom this morning of harassing and humiliating Mia using both sarcastic and argumentative language. This is why it gets so tricky. The judge agreed that Brian Steele asked some improper questions, and he cautioned him to stop appearing to provoke for the jury's benefit, Again, in general, these criminal defense attorneys much more animated than the government side. And here he is. We don't have the camera, we don't have the audio, but we have the words. Apparently, he was extremely confrontational, as per the government, and now the judge had to step in and say, hey, reel it back in a little bit, to which apparently he has done, but would not surprise me to get another admonition for him later in the afternoon. Once again, we hear about Mike Myers, the former SNL comedian. The defense reviews Maya's 2008 to 2009 resume This is from before she took the job with Sean Combs. On the resume, it says that she worked for Mike Myers. It also claims it says on there that she claims to have, quote unquote, thick skin. And then she's asked, is that true? And Maya said, I thought I did, which is sort of an obnoxious question because it's apples and oranges. You have to have thick skin in TV news because people email you and they say they hate your tie, they hate your suit, they hate your hair, whatever it is. This is totally different. This is a guy that's physically abusing this woman, as in hitting her, and verbally abusing her and making her do things she doesn't want to do. Is that thick skin, being able to tolerate that? No, that's not thick skin. That's psychotic behavior on the part of Sean Diddy Combs. So it's two different things here. And again, jurors are very smart. I think especially in lower Manhattan, they're going to be, or Manhattan in general, but the courthouses in lower Manhattan. New Yorkers are smart. They're street smart. And I look at this. Philadelphia offering to take me to another Phillies game. She took Scott Duffy and I might have to come up to that. Yeah, that's what I call abuse, Brooklyn Pasola. I'm with you. And then look at this, Brooklyn Pasola, coming from one of the 5 boroughs. She's street smart and smart. She's a funeral director, by the way, which is pretty interesting. Ohio Palm Mom was the admonishment in front of the jury. I believe that at least the beginning parts of it were. I don't know if he had the jury step out. That's a great question. But I think the government stepped in because this was just going on. I'll try to get a firm answer on that, but that's an excellent question because, he shouldn't be yelling either way, the judge, or admonishing in front of the jurors. So good point. I'm not 100% sure. I'll ask some of the people we have inside the courtroom. Annette Spencer here, thank you so much. This means a lot, and it helps us with the content. So thank you. I appreciate it. Robin Ray, my friend in L.A., that's fear from him controlling every aspect of her life. Yes, that is it. By the way, we are working on our show for tonight. Not 1,000% sure what we're doing, but some interesting news out of the Adelson world. We all, if you saw what happened last week, the defense is crying foul, the government is crying foul, and is this going to delay the trial again? We're not sure, but now we're also getting word that there's been a lot of fighting, gang-related fighting in the prison where Charlie Adelson is housed in South Dakota at his very prison. And so we're working to confirm some things and maybe bring you a show on that with some former inmates and wardens. About 10 different inmates have been injured, some of them severely in shiv attacks and things of that nature. So, and we're trying to get confirmation if Charlie Adelson himself was involved, but it is tough to get information out of anyone, let alone jail or prison officials, I should say, in South Dakota, but we're on it. The resume attack, again, saying, look, you said you had thick skin. This is the defense. And she's saying, I thought I did, but this is way beyond thick skin. This is literally being physically and verbally abused. Again, I think the jurors here in New York City are going to have enough street smarts. This is another thing that Nikki Cudds brings up, which is true. Without being political, just factual. President Donald Trump was asked about this case, and he floated the idea that he might be in favor of pardoning Sean Diddy Combs, which personally I think is a huge mistake. 50 Cent, who's a very well-known figure and does not like Sean Combs and has been basically, alerting people and sounding the alarm about this for years, said that he would personally make an appeal to Donald Trump to not pardon him if he is to be convicted. But I think that's a real bad look. If it's a financial crime, yeah. But if this guy's convicted of sexually and physically abusing these women, as well as the RICO charges, and then President Trump, who's got his own kind of little past with women, comes out and pardons him, I think all hell could break loose. So we'll see how that plays out. But that did come up. So thanks to Nikki Cudds for that. In terms of surveillance, it goes from disturbing to even more disturbing. Mia describes in a very big moment, perhaps the biggest moment of the morning, Sean Diddy Combs' surveillance tactics. And she quotes here, she says, "He has stolen my phone many times. He has stolen Cassie's phone many times. He has put tracking devices on her car." Who uses tracking devices? I'll tell you who: police, the FBI, and criminals, the mob. And I think Sean Diddy Combs fits into the role of mobster in a sense. And he was literally putting tracking devices in or on. You see in the movies how they put the magnet tracker on the bottom of the car. I'm not sure what kind it was. Mia is also quoted as saying, "I was terrified." The defense asks how Sean Combs knew about some of these private messages so he knew who to track, what to track, and how to track, and why to track, and when to track. Mia had to sort that out on the witness stand. Things got a little confusing, but the takeaway there is that Sean Diddy Combs was tracking Cassie's car, and we'd heard this before, taking away their cell phones as well. Diddy is an absolute disgrace to the American people. It makes you embarrassed to be American when you hear that Diddy is an American, because you don't want Americans acting like this. The relationship with Cassie. She says she simply could not warn her best friend. Mia described her relationship with Cassie Ventura and said, quote unquote, "I was not allowed to tell her the truth about a lot of things." And again, this is a control tactic, pinning one friend against the other. So she was simply not allowed to share things. And imagine, like, you're in this abusive relationship and this guy's your boss, and now you tell Cassie something, and now Cassie approaches Diddy about it because she's his girlfriend, and now it comes full circle to you, and now you're in this never-ending circle of violence where now Sean Diddy Combs is taking his ire out on you, the assistant, for telling his girlfriend something. So it was just a horrible situation all around. She was forced in some instances to sort of verify and uphold Sean Combs' version of events. When asked if she ever told Cassie to leave, as in the relationship, she says, and I quote, "Not in the way I wish I could have." Not in the way I wish I could have. She said if she didn't cover for him, Combs would have cut her off from Cassie entirely. So she, again, was backed into this corner where if she is not covering for her boss, she is cut out like cancer from this job, from her relationship with this very powerful celebrity, and from her relationship. There's a lot to lose there. So it is a horrific situation. Say it with me, Jen says. Triangulation. Yes, this is a triangle that no one wants to be a part of. Now, Robin Ray, incidentally, happens to work in the entertainment business. She's from LA. My feeling is he's been paying people off to get out of all these troubles for a long time. Also, he's probably got video of famous people. I don't doubt that. He acted like a total mobster. He is a total monster. It's funny that mobster rhymes with monster. There you go. The other witness, by the way, because I think someone's asking about that, is Mia, but the other witness is actually MIA, missing in action. She's not going to testify. It has come out that she is not going to testify. Carrie Lee Vickers with another interesting take. She's a cult survivor. It would be interesting to get what is Rick Allen Ross. He's our cult expert that we have on sometimes. He's one of the preeminent figures in terms of like an academic in the world of cults. That's what he studies. It'd be interesting to get him on to talk about Sean Diddy Combs and how he ran his operation, and was it akin to a cult, or how was it different? I'd be curious to know about that. There was a 2017 mediation. No assault allegations were disclosed. The defense brings up this severance that she was asking for, and Mia admits on cross here that she did not mention sexual assault during the mediation. She just didn't bring it up, and claims that she was unaware of the quote unquote Me Too movement at the time. So this is right when it's all happening. And I know because I was working at Fox News, and that is the exact same time that Roger Ailes was removed from the CEO position of Fox News. And Bill Blackheart O'Reilly got in trouble and was removed from Fox News and had to pay one woman $32 million, a single woman. He paid off multiple women, but paid off one woman $32 million. So this was in the headlines every single day. It'd be hard, especially in New York City, where you're walking past, there's news stands everywhere with the New York Post with these massive headlines about all these people getting in trouble during the Me Too movement. And there you go. Derek Kinsey, not getting political, put that up. I know people have strong feelings, but there you go. Derek Kinsey, oh my God, you worked at Fox. I did. And I've said this on the air, probably more than half of the people who work at Fox, and I'm not saying that I am liberal, but they are not conservative. I'll tell you that. People go not much unlike this. People go where they can pay their rent and put food on the table. And maybe that was what was going on to a degree with Mia here, is that she was gainfully employed. And there you go. So 2017, again, she claimed she was unaware of the Me Too movement at the time. She is still being crossed for how long? It is lunchtime now. They're coming back from lunch. They might be back from lunch right now. But the next bunch of witnesses, a guy named Eddie Garcia, hotel security, Enrique Santos, who I think may have worked I believe he worked at the Intercontinental in some capacity as well. This guy, Eddie Garcia, said he was going to take the fifth or get some sort of immunity. And then someone named Frank Piazza, who is a forensic video expert. Apparently, he's going to testify to the video quality and the genuine nature of the video that we saw in 2016 that was pulled and then subsequently leaked to CNN. That is a video of Cassie Ventura getting physically beaten by Sean Diddy Combs inside the hallways of the Intercontinental Century City in Los Angeles. That is definitely the most damning piece of evidence in this case so far. Let me take a look at some of the comments here. Let's see here. Yeah, Garcia and Santos, these are the next set of witnesses. That should be crazy also. So this is, again, Rachel confirming what we know, horrific video. But this, again, is week 4. Now, if you'll recall, it was a week or two ago. I think it was the beginning of last week where the government came out and said, look, our case will only be 5 weeks tops, which means through next week. I have a feeling they could rest at the end of this week. And then the defense said because of unforeseen strategies by the government that their defense would actually take a bit longer. The question now remains, does Sean Diddy Combs, is there enough manage? Look at this. Dara says no one's coming forward here to save Diddy, but is there enough damage done to Diddy right now where he is going to plead with his own attorneys to take the stand? And that, I guess, is the remaining question, only to be known, I think, once we get to the defense case in chief. And then we still might not know it till the very end of their defense. Maybe they put him on last. I don't know. But it could be a very dangerous, and slippery slope for the defense to put on a guy accused of all these awful things, because it opens the door. It opens the proverbial legal door, and then the government can start asking a lot of questions. No celebrities in sight. It's a good point. They're all acting brand new. You got Mary J. Blige, J-Lo, Jay-Z, Kim Kardashian. She calls car trashing. Kanye. It's interesting how these public figures go very, very quiet. very, very quiet. Will their names come out at a later time for different things? There are all kinds of names being bandied about with these civil cases related to Tony Budsby, the personal injury attorney who's taken on some of these civil suits. Keep in mind, in those civil cases, Diddy needs to go to sex addiction counseling. It was kind of what I was just getting to, or sex perversion counseling. I don't know, because he was apparently doing this to some minor children. That, according to some of the civil suits filed by Tony Busby, it has nothing to do with this. And Diddy was also apparently using his diddle with men, and a bunch of men. It was actually, with the Tony Busby stuff, I think an equal amount of men and women are being represented in these civil suits. So this rabbit hole of darkness and depravity goes even deeper with Diddy. It's a lot of alliteration right there. I don't think I could say that again. Dara says he'll probably take. By the way, Dara, I don't think I've ever seen your name, and here you are. So welcome. And if you have been in here, I apologize, because we've got a lot of names. But he probably will take this stand. If he does take the stand, I think I'm going to have to go back up to New York and be there for that. And Dara, again, look at this. She's all over the place. Children and men. Yes. So I think we've just seen the tip of the proverbial iceberg here. And I've said this before, Sean Combs' mother, I think she is there today. She is not the, I guess, the picture of innocence. His father was a known gangster that was murdered. So I'm not blaming his upbringing, but I don't think he had the best upbringing in the world. He probably, some of this might be learned behavior. Let's not forget, Annette is saying that he drugged men and women. Facts. That's according, these are allegations at this point. I understand what you're saying, but these civil cases are going to play out as well. Robin Ray says J-Lo could be serious. I mean, look at it, no matter how, unless J-Lo is going to prison, she's never going to, will her image be tainted? 100%. Could her career be ruined? Yeah, but I don't think she's getting on a soup kitchen line anytime soon. But yeah, I don't know which way this tide turns. And J-Lo was with him for a very long time. Joel, can you please cover? I think this is supposed to be Lori Vallow. Let's take a quick impromptu poll. I got to be honest. I'm just so sick of Lori Vallow. She's got another trial coming up. I think there's jury selection maybe going on even right now. She's going to lose this trial. She's a lunatic. She's never getting out of prison. Do you guys want to see another Lori trial? I guess it's starting this week. I have not been on top of it. If you do, you can email us, survivingthesurvivor@gmail.com. But again, covering trials for us, and I'm not whining here. I'm just making a factual statement. It involves a tremendous amount of work and time behind the scenes. So, it's a big commitment is what I'm saying. I offered to do it for the first date, the so-called first date murder, which will probably wind up going into deliberations this week. That guy, Maxwell Anderson, and Sade Robinson, who was murdered on a first date. Well, we put out a poll and not enough people wanted to see it. That is the talk of the town, by the way, in Milwaukee. Amy Cruz says, I'm so sick of her. Chris Burr says, I'm so sick of her. Grunge says, it's the final trial. Who knows with her? It might not be. I agree with Joel. Kerry Lee Vickers here. Great to see all these new names. He's been doing this with no consequences for decades. We're back to Diddy here. He thinks his behavior is fine. I'm really sick of Lori V. There you go. They're walking into court. I'm really sick of Lori V. I stopped watching that trial. No, I'm done with Lori. No to Vallow. Yeah, no to Vallow. They didn't bring gun charges, but they're RICO charges, and I think they're gun charges that fall. I still don't fully understand RICO after all this time, but RICO covers a lot of areas, and that, of course, is the kind of the overarching charge that a lot of people are confused about whether or not the government is successfully prosecuting. My answer would be likely they are successfully prosecuting up to this point, and today is jury selection in the Lori Vallow Daybell trial. Carla says skip LVD. So there you go. I'm trying to find one other trial to cover before we start with the big ones, which is Donna Adelson and Koberger. So, and by the way, Stefan Stearns is in July, and I am planning to cover that up in Orlando. So, and Lee T is saying, and this is true, there are other people who have been covering Lori Vallow literally from day one, which we have not, and they'll be covering it. Best Nancy, but she is so entertaining. Joel, no thanks, Joel. Don't waste your energy. From Best Nancy to Friends Canine Cat to Friend Canine Catherine. No thanks, Joel. Don't waste your energy. If people don't want to follow, Lauren is there. Hidden True Crime is there. Stick with Diddy. This is a once in a lifetime. Imagine if this was being filmed. It would be wild, but it's not. So what can you do? Koberger at this point is scheduled for opening statements on August 11th, and I already have my plane ticket and my hotel. It could start earlier, but now the government, because of the latest Dateline episode with Koberger, they are putting in or filed a motion for a continuance. I'm hearing that it's probably not going to happen. Courtney Clenny, this is in Miami, and I would love to cover this. This is the so-called OnlyFans model, Courtney Clenny, who claims she flung a knife, which happened to kill her boyfriend. People who are experts at knives say that the possibility of what she described as having happened is next to zero. People think it was more intentional than the way she is making it out to be. So, yeah, Courtney Clenny, that would be an interesting trial. COE, can we see? I just haven't seen a trial date for her. Does anyone know if there is a trial date? That's literally in my backyard, and I would be happy to cover that. And man, I could come home at the end of the day. That would be very cool. Christian Obumseli, by the way, I think it's an S at the very end there, Amy, but it is Obumseli, and he is the one-time boyfriend, no longer living. He was a guy that invested in crypto. And by the way, summer is here in Miami because I could hear thunder and lightning, and I am embedded in the middle of my building here. So if I go out and you don't see me, it's because of the storms coming overhead here. It's going to be like this all summer long. Stefan Stearns, that's going to be, to be honest, I'm afraid to cover that because of, I have kids and I don't want to even think about what I would have to see or hear in that trial. But that's a big case where they talk about a depraved, deranged individual. That guy almost makes Diddy look normal, and that's saying a lot. Courtney Clenny is a hot mess, no doubt about that. COE letting me know that it is storming. The never-ending neck issue. By the way, it's getting a little better, but I have to go back, and I completely forgot. I have a neck appointment shortly, and I'm going to have to drive in this disastrous weather to get there. So there you go. Let's see. Stefan is so creepy. Yes, he is. Too bad it's not live. You can't really trust the reporters. This is Neo K. Kind of, I'm pretty sure Neo's talking about, obviously, Diddy. And yeah, sometimes you can't. There's certain reporters that I do talk to on a consistent basis who are in the courtroom, and I think they're doing an awesome jobs. Not Stearns, don't cover. Yeah, that's a tough one. I feel like I have to cover that because of Maddie Soto, and she deserves justice. But he is a creepy, weird, a lot of creepy, weird dudes in this world. What is going on? And a few women who are creepy and weird as well. Stearns is probably about as bad as it gets. I mean, someone who is accused of what he's accused of with a 13-year-old girl that happens to be his girlfriend's daughter. Yeah, he's a pretty demented guy. I don't talk about this. This case has got to be the most over publicized case in the history of the world. It's going on right now. From what I'm seeing, the defense is having a very difficult day today. again. And the prosecution, I think, has been very strong in this case. I think I'll open up about it once we get some sort of verdict. But yeah, I just don't completely get I get it, but this case has become so much more than what it should be. Eventually, I'll have some things to say about this at the appropriate time. Stearns is beyond. Please skip, says S. Ray. Catherine just saying, good idea. I have no idea regarding what, but I'll take it. And I will say, okay, that is a good idea. I've stopped babying. This reminds you of me. I've stopped babying my 25-year-old son after listening to him and his mom's calls. Are you the mom then? I'm confused here. Am I slow on the uptake here? I've stopped babying my 25-year-old son after listening to him and his mom. So are you listening to your own calls, or is this your boyfriend who's speaking to his mom? I'm confused. Can someone please? Oh, I see what you're saying. You're talking about. Oh, I see. You're going back to stuff on Stern. Sorry, I got it. So you stopped babying your 25-year-old son because you listened to stuff on Stern. Yeah. At least you didn't say you've been listening to my calls with my mom, because you'd probably stop babying your son after that as well. Karma's been away for, I think, 3 months. She's back this week. She lands at what time? 5 a.m. And guess who's got to go pick her up? But being the great son that I am, I'm going to go pick her up. Yeah, I got you, Trisha. It took me a moment there. I was confused. I confused everybody, but I'm a little slow. And then eventually I get it, usually. Amy Crew, I'm not so sure about that. You and I could discuss that at a later time. So there we go. I am up for a Hawaii reunion. Who wants to do an STS reunion in Hawaii? Let's discuss. Best Nancy, my baby's coming to visit me today from Denver. Best Nancy, how old is your baby? And is it a he or a she, this baby? Got another 2-3 minutes, and then I got to jump to go get the neck worked on. Then I'll be back. Again, I think we're going to try to do something with Charlie tonight because there's a lot of stuff. Please email us, survivingthesurvivor@gmail.com. There is a trial, by the way, that I am interested in because it happened in my state. This is man, there's a lot of really screwed up people in this country. I think in the whole world. What's going on? Should we all just run away together? I think we should get a private island off of like New Zealand, and all the STS people should just live there because the world is a scary place. But there's a guy named Paul Canero who was business partners with his brother. This is in New Jersey. And his brother, something happened with the business. I have not followed the case very closely, as you can tell, but I do know the circumstances. Now, the family, the Canero's brother lived in Colts Neck, which is a very, very fancy, highfalutin area of New Jersey. And just to give you some perspective, Bruce Springsteen lives in Colts Neck, and he has a couple of bucks. But anyway, this family lived there. The brother goes over, Paul Canero goes over to his brother's family after something goes down with the business, shoots his brother and his brother's wife and kills them, and then stabs his 2 children to death, and then burns the house down. This guy's obviously on trial for multiple counts of murder, arson, and faces like 3 bazillion years in prison. Do I go to Jersey for that? It's the end of this month where it starts. It's interesting, but it's sort of an open and shut case. But it is interesting because of the sick nature of it. In Australia, Kerry Lee Vickers, I mean, when you turn on the news in Australia, like you do in America, do you lose faith in humanity like you do here? I turn on the news, I look at some of these stories, and I'm like, what is wrong with people? This is why I think I like dogs so much. What is going? Rosa says no children. It's not really a children trial, but I mean, Stefan Stearns is a trial about what he did to a child. So if that's what you mean, yes. Joel, did you buy Josh Ritter breakfast? I will when I'm out there. The Dodgers, yeah, and the Yankees, no, but I've got to wear a Dodgers shirt. I think I do have a Dodgers shirt now. I got one specifically, so the next time I'm on with Josh, if I remember, I'll wear it. I can barely hear you mumbling, Joel. Speak up, Joel. I can barely hear you mumbling. My audio levels are down a little bit. Let me try to increase them. I don't know how to do that, of course. It never works. It's not working right now. All right. So enough with the mumbling. Robin Ray says it all. This is why dogs are the best. Jenna Jen says, every day, Joel, every day. We live in a twisted, weird world. Yeah, this was the same old case in New Jersey. I think this predates the pandemic. Space Coast says, don't touch your mic settings. They all get nervous whenever I touch stuff. On that note, I got to run. I got to get up to Hollywood, Florida, not Hollywood as in Los Angeles. Love you, America. Love you to Australia. Love you to Ohio, because I got yelled at once for not calling them out. Love you, New Zealand. Love you. I'm missing 3/4 of the world. Love you, Cambodia. I told my kids I was thinking of moving them to Cambodia this morning. I feel like there's very little crime in Cambodia, and I could have a birthday party for my daughter, which cost me an arm and a leg yesterday. If I did it in Cambodia, I could probably invite her 12 or 13 friends for like 25 cents. So I'm thinking of a move to Cambodia, and I could still do the podcast from Cambodia. Let me know what you all think. We'll see you tonight. That's what Coco says. We will figure out the exact topic. We roll with the punches here. Love you all. Let's get justice for Cassie Ventura and these other victims and Diddy, man. As Steve Cohen, in the great words of Steve Cohen, you need a checkup from the neck up. See you tonight, 7 o'clock.